The chair recognizes my colleague from Macomb County, the Honorable John Chirkun.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm glad you didn't say make 'em either. That was good. The first rule of speech making is not use names. Well, today I'm going to break that rule very often. But first, before I forget everything, because I always do this when I make speeches, I forget to thank my wife and my family, my kids and my nephews that grew up with me. And I want to thank them for being a part of what I've done in the last 30 years, and I appreciate it. But let me start out with thanking some of my seatmates over the past 6 years. And I'm sorry, I don't really speak real loud unless I'm yelling and because of this mask being on, but I'm going to keep it on. But being here is one of the greatest experiences in my life. Each and every day I am truly amazed at all the hard work that each one of you did on behalf of your constituents. It was something to marvel at. I would also like to thank the voters of the 22nd District in Roseville and Warren for giving me this opportunity to represent them for this past 6 years. I never imagined I would actually end up here. It surely didn't hit me when the election results came back in November of 2014. It hit me on the first day I got to the Capitol and sat in my office for the first time, and I realized the massive responsibility that laid on my shoulders. I had some big shoes to fill, taking over for my predecessor, Harold Haw, and representing the 22nd District. But as I pointed out to him, he only wears a size 8 and I'm an 11. And the guy coming in behind me, he has a size 11, so he'll move right in. I didn't know what to expect here in Lansing and at the Capitol. I came from being the mayor of the 6th largest city in Macomb County. But I never realized till I got up here that my hometown city was even bigger than some of the outstate counties in Michigan. I knew I was a big fish in a little pond in Roseville, but when I got here, I was just another fish in a bigger pond called the state capitol. So being the true detective that I am, I observed for the 6 months before I started moving outside my lane. I'd like to think I did some good things up here, made some lifelong friendships along the way. To my seatmates, thank you for the memories we had. During my first session, I sat next to Robert Wittenberg and Frankie, the animal liberati. Frank had the dubious distinction of being the first person I met at one of the orientation meetings. While there is a lot I wanted to do over the last 6 years, I never made it to Frank's Deli. But now in January, I got all kind of time on my hands. I look forward to coming over and getting some of the world-famous cookies and pizza. But I want the family and friends discount. Unlike the other former term-limited state representative from Westland, you charge full price. During my second session, I sat with Sylvia Santana and Representative Rosemary Robinson. I fondly remember Rosemary because I've known her over 40 years when she was a Wayne County Commissioner and I was just a snot-nosed rookie in the Wayne County Sheriff's Department. Over the years, me and her had some epic debates at the county level and even on this chamber floor. But with Rosemary, you always knew she was sticking to her convictions. Sylvia was very nice, calm, collected, and she's the Legislature of the Year, I understand. But she's not as nearly outspoken as her husband, who was the chair and only member of the Harvey Santana Caucus. Now, which is incredible, Harvey is working at the Wayne County Sheriff's Department where I came from. The world has gone full circle. I hope he understands where I was coming from on some of the issues on criminal justice. Now in my third term, I got to sit next to John Cherry Jr. And, you know, I know his mom and dad and try to take care of him. But before COVID-19 made my last final year, unlike anything we've ever imagined, you know, I know one thing. John likes to pheasant hunt like his dad. And his ma drives a hot rod car, a Mustang with a big V8, and she won't let John drive it. But I appreciate his attempts to help me navigate the House and calling me on Saturday morning and say, hey, Chirkun, I'm in your district. I got this bill I need you to sign. So I go meet him, and I don't remember that day or not if you were hungover from hanging out with Representative Phil Phillips at the bar the night before. But anyways, Santa, during the time, delivered me some great committee assignments. They say committees are most of the work is done, and I know firsthand. My first term that I served on reg reform with Chairman Franz and Minority Chair Scott DeAnda. I learned a lot during that committee, and I learned how to drink beer and wine more. I also served in my third year on Common Tech with Brad Jacobson and Michelle Hointinga, and it was a pleasure working with you. And financial liabilities with Pat Somerville, which I hated. During my second term, I was thrown right in the fire being the minority chair of transportation with Chairman Tristan Cole. It was there I learned firsthand the difficulty in finding a political viable way to fix all the roads, which unfortunately aren't really done at 100% now. Oversight was interesting, where I served with the Chairman Joe Graves and Minority Vice Chair Kevin Hertel as we tackled the UIA fraud fiasco. I got to tell you one thing, Joe Graves being the chairman, he's a very honorable person, and he tried to do the right thing to fix the UIA scandal. It's just that them people still haven't been paid, and I wish our governor would figure that out. But in the second term of reg reform was always interesting with my buddy Chairman Brent Iden. He was always a lot of fun to hang out with. He did a committee in a different way than most people did. He made it like a game show. And Vice Chairman Jeremy Moss was with him. And during that time, while going to some of the dog sled races, I learned how to drink Jägermeister and orange juice with Kathy and Hugh Crawford. God bless you guys. In this job, you get to meet all sorts of people from all walks of life and different perspectives, which I found interesting. And thank you, Scott DeAnda, Sarah Cambenzi, and Macomb County Commissioner Joe Marquette County Commissioner, for showing me how cool the Upper landscape is truly God's country, and your hospitality to us trolls when we visit. I'll never be the same going to the dog sled races in Calumet and Marquette, and karaoke at Flanagan Bar with Scott and Sam Singh. I definitely did lose some years off my life, as they say. The Lake of Superior never gives up her dead, or her pasties with ketchup. To Sergeant Dixon in the Redcoats. No, that's not a Motown singing group. These are the guys that watch our sixes all the time. Your dedication, professionalism, and friendship is something truly to be proud of. And I can tell you that you and your team are very much appreciated by everybody in this chamber, and thank you for protecting our six. Frank Liberati and I had quite an experience serving on a committee to investigate the actions of two former representatives whose love debacle fiasco brought shame to this institutional body. And probably because we were both rookies, that's why we got stuck on that committee, because nobody else wanted it. But once again, Sergeant Dixon and his team did a heck of a job, and thank you for what you do for all of us. And Sergeant Randy, thank you for always watching our backs while certain people were testifying. To all the nonpartisan committee and session staff, thank you for being the definition of professional and helping me out, making sure everything I was doing was being done right. And the Anderson office, House facilities, and the House nonpartisan business staff, Doug, Simon, Stacy, and the team. Thank you as well for all you have done for all of us over the last 6 years. I would not be remiss, I have several people to thank and tell a little story that I served with over the past 6 years. To Leader Tim Grimo. Tim, you were a great leader under the most adverse circumstances. Thank you for your wisdom and your friendship. And now Tim has a real job. He works for a union. Second session, Minority Chair Sam Singh. You are by far one of the most honorable and sincere persons I know. To Speaker Chatfield, your leadership and decorum you bring into this chamber every day is something I admire. to past floor leader Rutledge. David, I thank you for your dedication to the state and country and the love of the veterans of this country. And my buddy Yosef Rabb, he's the only guy I know that his voice is louder than mine. Good job. And I like working with you. To the first majority leader I served with, a guy named Eric Nesbitt. Now, who spells their name Eric? It's usually E-I-R-C. He spells it A-R-I-C. I said, so you know what? I started calling him Ulrich Goldfinger from James Bond. But one thing I can tell you about the good senator is when he gives you his word on something, there's no messing around, waffling, and he's a credit to his side. To our Macomb delegation, most of us knew each other before I arrived in Lansing, and my advice is stay together whenever possible and put Macomb back on the state map. I love it when I hear the other colleagues say, them damn Macomb reps did it again. But thanks to all of you. And we're Aaron Miller, I swear, man, you were starting calling it Macomb County. You were hanging out with Lucido way too long. Because, you know, he calls it that all the time. He's going to be the prosecutor. You know, we don't want to be like Macomb County, Georgia. That's all I'm going to say. And one shout out I want to give is to my colleague from Macomb County, Derek Miller. You know, his father was a good friend of mine for many, 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 many years. He was a legend. So one day we're having lunch before I got up here, and he tells me, he looks at me, he says, you know, you only got one job to do. And I said, what's that? He said, take care of my boy and make sure he gets home every night. That's the kind of guy he was. And I said, okay. So I took him out of a lot of parties early, and he hated me for it. I will never forget the after-hours session with the Dagwood Caucus. If I ever see another fried pickle again, I'll be happy. Terry Sabo, Frank Liberati, Sarah Cambenzi, Pat Green, Scott DeAnda, Sam Singh, Kevin Hertel, Nate Shannon, Zavanko, Bozeski, Will Snyder, Curtis Audette, Kevin Coleman, Tyrone Carter, Alex Garza, Joe Tate. Thank you for the strategy session and memories. And a special shout out to Jim Kirsch and Ed Niola. They're only honorary members. But thank you. We had a lot of good times. We discussed a lot of business in Dagwoods to make everything right. But I'll never forget them times. And I'd also like to take time out to honor the memories of our gone but not forgotten colleagues. Pete Battaglia, John Kivala, Julie Pilecki, and Isaac Robinson. May you rest in power. I don't want to lick my fingers and try to do these pages in between. I catch COVID again. Oh, this is tough. Can you do this here? No, here, I got it. Okay. Before we became reps, I knew Julie's husband's Mark. He was a judge in Wayne County, and I knew the rest of the family because they were all county commissioners in Wayne County. But Julie Pilecki was one of the most caring people I ever met, and I got to work with her daughters during my time here also. But I hope never again in this chamber will we lose 4 mates, seat mates, in that amount of time. Just special throwouts to friends that I've worked with. And, when I came up here, I was going to say, hi, my name is Freddie Durhall, and I'm going to keep you entertained for an hour and a half. But only third-termers would have known that. Nobody else would have known that. But Bob Kosowski, Paul Clementi, Sarah Roberts, Andrea LaFontaine, Ken Goyke, Tony Ferlini, from my counterparts from Macomb County, Winnie Brinks, Gretchen Driscoll, Pam Hornberger, Diane Ferryton, and my buddy Pete Lucido. God bless you and good luck in your new endeavor, and Pat Green. And if I forgot anybody, Diane Farrington, Steve Marino, I'm sorry, but you guys all know that I love you in Macomb County. And one person I do want to talk about, because I served with her first term, was Marilyn Lane. I spent a lot of quality time, and I want to thank her for her mentorship in my first term. And to the House Dem policy staff over the last 6 years, you were great. I didn't always agree with you, but you always respected opinion, and insight. My first term, I relied heavily on Lansing's Angels, which Emily, Rosie, Katie, Hillary, and then later on, Tracy, Ashley, and then I don't want to say Peter and Danny, but and Mitch, but they're how do I say it? Good angels too. Coffee Ann, my attorney. I don't go nowhere without her. She's like my American Express card. My writers, Drew, Susan, and graphics, Liz, Krantz, and Bobby. All of you do great work. I will miss you having your knowledge and moments on it day in and day out. The queen of the floor, Joelle, my hat's off to you. You were always respectful and nice to everybody in the floor, even though everybody knew you were like the nun with the yardstick in your hand. But you always treated me good, and I appreciate that. My other attorneys, Patty, Nathan, and then once I already talked about Coffee Ann, but thank you for all the help you gave me over the years. And to my staff, Zavanko Blazeski and Ryan Earl, and my newest addition, Matt Lanzi, in the last year. I can't thank you enough for our time together. You are the best, and I wish you only the best in the future. You were always trusted advisors and always seemed to calm me down if I got too pissed off. To Zavanko, you definitely did live up to your nickname. I call him the Prince of Mischief, Loki, from the Thor movie, because he sure enough, I had to keep him out of trouble all the time. But to Ryan Earl, thank you for keeping me organized and focused at the task at hand. To Matt, thank you for being a friend and continue to aim high. And the future state representative, Richard Thielen, the 22nd district's going to be in capable hands. Lobby Corps, all your institutional knowledge has been considered a value asset by me. For all those who've interacted with over the last 6 years and guided me, thank you for all the help. To those who did not interact with me or they ignored me for the past 6 years, I still won't change parties. I have a soft spot in my heart. You know, I base some of my experiences on real things that happened to me, and I always got a soft spot in my heart for trains and auto dealers because I've been around cars all the time. My mother and father worked for the auto companies, and I've owned 100 cars or probably more in my time, and I just think that the automobile industry is so important. You got to move heaven and earth to take care of it in the state of Michigan for the future. Someone asked me long ago if I would do something different in my life than being an elected official. The thing is, looking back over the years, I realize I've been a public servant for the majority of my time on God's green earth, going back to when I was 18 and served in the United States Air Force. And then the Wayne County Sheriff's Department, Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem, and Mayor for 19 years, and our last 6 years as a state representative. I got to try to make positive changes and stand up what I believe in, and I knew my first responsibility as a state representative to represent my constituents and hold firm my ideas and votes I took. But many would appreciate that I was willing to stand up and defend those votes. Looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. I got to meet all you wonderful people in this, and the 2 sessions before that, and I would have never met otherwise. It was never a dull moment. Now I move on to the next phase of my life in a different career. I'm going to sell tomatoes in front of my house on a stand. To all you Democrats and Republicans, all 110 in this chamber, you are all good people. First, and elected officials second. Good people do good things. Try to work with each other. Try to do what is right for the people of this wonderful state of Michigan. I thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for giving me this awesome life experience of meeting, interacting together with you on different projects and laws, and getting to know you and knowing some of your families. It was a rewarding experience. And one thing I want to say, you know, I do a meme of the day. When I find one on Facebook, I'll always post it, but still your governor. That's Gretchen Whitmer. She's doing a fine job keeping us all safe. As I depart, I will leave you the words of my former Purple House patch of green. If you don't like the apple, turn it around. Thank you, and God bless the state of Michigan, and God bless America.